Like I said, he played in Gunsmoke, Bonanza, Josie Wells, and he brought it back with him, as you can tell. He loved the place, and that's why I'm trying to keep it going, because that was mine and his promise to one another, is to keep this open and going. And I mean, he would literally paint the rocks gold for the little kids to find gold. Yeah, we did get married on horseback out here, and when he passed, I mean, it just like ripped out my heart, because this is what he built and this was his dream, and he wanted to keep it going.
When you think of classic Western shows, you probably think of Gunsmoke and Bonanza. Growing up, I have fond memories of watching these Western classics with my dad. North Carolina is full of hidden gems waiting to be discovered and revitalized. On the outskirts of Brogdon, located in Johnston County, is Wild Bill's western town, Shadowhawk. We had the pleasure of touring Shadowhawk and meeting Kristen Drake. Her heartfelt story of her love for her late husband and his dream to keep Shadowhawk alive is a story worth sharing.
Because he was from North Carolina, I didn't feel like moving all the way to North Carolina. But the third time he sit here, and I said, okay. And we did it for a couple of years in Arizona, and then we came back here about 6 years. I've been here now 6 years. He loved the place, and that's why I'm trying to keep it going, because that was mine and his promise to one another, is to keep this open and going. Yeah, we did get married on horseback out here, and like I said, when he got the cancer and it actually hit his brain, and when he passed, I mean, it just like ripped out my heart, because this is what he built and this was his dream, and he wanted to keep it going. Because they don't even do that in schools no more, how the West was or anything else like that. Kids don't know. And so he wanted to build it for that purpose, so that people and kids can learn and have fun, just enjoy each other. That's why he built it. He started with the little saloon back in 1996, and he kept going from there, and he still wanted to keep building. He wanted to build a schoolhouse, and before he died, his last words were, "Promise me to keep the place open and going." And that's what I'm trying to do, but I had to buy it back from the brother, because he was going to bulldoze it all down. And everybody got all upset, so that's why nobody wanted to come back out no more. They think it's all closed down. But we've had birthday parties out here, like I showed you, the deaf and blind. That was an interesting one, because we didn't know how to really talk to them, but they had the interpreter, but he left early. And I mean, we've had people had their first date out here, and then they got married out here too. And I mean, he would literally paint the rocks gold for the little kids to find gold. And he's had church groups out here. I mean, he was the jokester of the place, and I think that's why it's kind of nobody's showing up, because he was everything to this town. He would have gave the shirt off his back to anybody. I'm wanting to get it back up and build that monument for him, put his ashes and his statue in it, and say that, yeah, he built this place. That's what he wanted. Like I said, he played in Gunsmoke, Bonanza, Josie Wells, and he brought it back with him, as you can tell. And any help would be appreciated, because this was his dream and this was his world. He wrote a book, Justice Colt 45 Way, and did the movie out here. And everybody loves it. I mean, like I said, everybody's had their first date or got married out here. They would love to see it up and going again. They can be used for weddings, birthday parties, and there's also dry camping. I mean, there's plenty of access. And one other thing he wanted to do, that back area by the creek, he wanted to do, like, I don't know if you've ever seen them, they look like like that little shed over there is turned into a house. And put it out here so people can either camp and enjoy themselves and just have fun like family. And weddings, and especially weddings, because he loved to be around weddings and just people in general. He loved them. And it'd be good for people to come back out and either have a wedding, birthday party, cookout, pig cooking, funeral. We've had that out here. We've had his funeral out here and his friend's funeral out here. I mean, we're open to any suggestions. Yeah, like old photos. If somebody wanted to do old photos out here, they could. And he did do one zombie movie out here. So, I mean, you can go on the Facebook page and look at all that and see it. And everybody enjoyed themselves, and they love it out here, especially the horseshoe pits. There's lights out there, and we're just trying to get it cleaned up and put back up, because that was his dream, to keep it open and running, and good Lord's willing, please help. And matter of fact, he gave me a little Bible. I mean, I don't know how they sit here and did it by candlelight, because the lettering is so small. And I mean, that's one goal he wanted, is to like teach it for history and keep it open and just let people learn. That's what his plan and goal was to do, is to make sure people don't forget how it started off and how it was. Like I was saying, you didn't have water, you didn't have toilet back then. You can see that back there. And back in those days would be tough, because AC is really good. And now you don't even have that. You had to use these heavy irons to put coal in to iron your clothes. And just sleeping in the sleeping quarters on the back of the saloon, you don't see that no more. That was like Little House on the Prairie, and that was his thing to reenact Western. He would do that. He would have draws out here. I mean, he did, like I said, he wrote his own books, movies. He did one of his movies and books out here. He's fixing to do another one. It's called Blood and Thunder. And it was about a spirit where it would go into the building and the bartender didn't see him, and he said, "How did you get in here?" He was really funny. He wanted to keep the West alive because it's history, and you don't see it like that anymore. And I'm going to keep my promise, because I loved him. I loved him with all my heart and soul, and I've been here for 7 years. And I mean, I started getting all the electricity and the lights working again, and he wanted the speakers working again, and because he had it lit up out here. It was #1 tourist attraction in Johnson County. Everybody loved it. And I love to get it back that way, because that was his dream and his promise, and he still wanted to build, and he was building a schoolhouse before he passed. Basically, the big saloon was his office, and people kept him alive. He'd make everybody laugh, especially his baby doll trick, and he ended up with his finger in his mouth. I mean, he could tell you more than I could, but he's not here. So. But he wanted to bring the West with him, and he wanted to make sure it stayed as history and stayed alive. Yeah, we used to have horses out here for people to ride them and get married. Like I said, get married out here. That was one of the main things people love to do, because they love the West, and it's just so romantic. And like I said, the swing back there, most of them think it's closed, and they want to come back and be able to have their weddings. Well, we are open fully. Most of the buildings are partially closed, but we are open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5. If you would, please call ahead of time at 984-204-3312. And just look around and you'll enjoy it yourselves.